All right, let's talk about something that's, well, it can be tough, but it's so important. We're going to dive into this idea of getting closure by, and this sounds intense, obliterating the past. Yeah, I know. Let's get into it. So, that word, obliterate. I mean, wow, it's a pretty intense one, right? It's not just about, forgetting something. This is about completely wiping it out, destroying every trace, every bit of significance, to remove it so completely you can't even recognize it anymore. It's a heavy concept, for sure, but it's really the starting point for everything we're talking about today.
And this quote, this just nails it. It's the perfect way to think about how that really harsh word, obliterate, actually shows up in our lives. Life doesn't always give you a nice, quiet goodbye. Nope. Sometimes it just slams the door in your face. And yeah, it's jarring, it hurts. But that slam, that's what stops you from just standing there, stuck in the doorway, wondering what if forever.
So, let's really dig into this idea of doors that slam shut. Because think about it, we don't always get that slow fade out. More often than not, it's something sudden, right? A breakup that comes out of nowhere, losing a job you thought was secure. These things are like a forceful shove forward. The ending is so final, there's just no room to hang around in the what-ifs.
So, I want you to think for a second. What's a door that slammed shut in your life? Is there something from your past that you're just so glad is completely gone now? Keep that in your head for a minute because we're going to pivot to something I think almost everyone can relate to, probably with a little bit of a cringe. And that brings us to, oh boy, the ghost of crushes. You know what I'm talking about? We've all been there. Those feelings for someone that just never went anywhere. This is a tricky one because it's a door we usually have to slam shut on our own.
And let's be real, looking back on old crushes is not always a great time. It can be super awkward, especially the ones where you just knew, you felt it in your gut, that you stood absolutely no chance. It's that feeling of vulnerability, right? It can be really tough to think about.
But here is the amazing part. Over time, something really cool happens. Your whole perspective just flips. That old feeling of, man, I stood no chance, totally transforms into this really calm, gentle thought like, you know what? I hope they're doing well. And that feeling right there, that is closure. It's proof that you're not stuck in the doorway anymore. You've walked into a whole new room.
And I love this metaphor they use. Thinking about those old feelings is like finding an old yearbook photo of yourself with like a bowl cut or something. Yeah, it's a little embarrassing. You kind of laugh at it, but it's part of your story, right? It's a piece of who you were that helped you become who you are now. Okay, but let's talk about the crush itself. That intense feeling is a seriously powerful force. It's like a double-edged sword. It can be this amazing source of motivation, but at the same time, it can be kind of dangerous.
So let's break that down. The good side? It's this wild, irrational inspiration to be a better person. You suddenly start hitting the gym or studying like crazy or learning guitar, all because of this crush. But the bad side? Well, it's dangerous for what the source calls the stupid lizard brain. That primitive, emotional part of our brain that just reacts without thinking. So what exactly are these dangers? Well, for one, that lizard brain can make you go way overboard for all the wrong reasons. You start ignoring the huge blinking sign that says, hey, these feelings aren't mutual. You get so wrapped up in this fantasy in your head that you completely forget that real life is actually happening and you might be missing out.
But here's the thing, getting through all that, surviving those intense feelings that go nowhere, there's a huge upside. When you learn to handle that double-edged sword, you build something incredibly valuable. You build what the source calls a stronger resistance to stupidity. I love that.
And this growth, it happens in stages, right? First, you just have the raw experience, the crush, the intensity, the whole thing. Then, that slowly turns into awareness. You start to recognize that lizard brain feeling when it pops up. And finally, you build resistance. You've learned your lesson and you're just smarter about it next time.
And it's kind of funny? Even after you've built up this resistance, you might find yourself feeling a little nostalgic. Not for the person necessarily, but you might have these little moments where you kind of miss doing those silly, over-the-top things for someone. You miss being that version of yourself that could just feel that much. And really, that's the big takeaway here. And it's a beautiful one. All of it. The pain, the cringy moments, the lizard brain, it all had a point. It proves something to you. It proved that you are capable of feeling things so deeply. And just knowing that you have that capacity, well, that's a gift. That's the real closure, isn't it?
So I'll leave you with this to think about. What was that slam door in your own life? That harsh ending that, looking back now, wasn't really an ending at all, but was actually the big push you needed to get where you are today. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.